Hey guys, happy Thursday. I am multitasking, so bear with me. I am logging into my computer, but I'm also talking to you guys. And I'm just on here to give you guys a quick dream and an interpretation. And I'm going to back it up with scripture and let you guys have your Thursday back. But this dream is based on a dream that I had on March 10th, 3:10. For those of you that are new to my channel, the Lord speaks to me 95% of the time through dreams. I also get visions. He speaks to me a lot through numbers, not angel numbers. God invented numbers, so he uses numbers often to speak to me, but none of that new age stuff. But yeah, so I'm going to release a dream to you guys that the Lord gave me on 310, and I'm giving you guys 310 because that's significant. It's a number that the Lord actually gave me last year, and it's been used for several different things. But in this case, I'm going to give you guys the meaning of 310 in the Greek concordance and in the Hebrew concordance. And both of these concordances are biblical references. So 310 in the Greek concordance means anaboa, which means to cry out, to cry out. And 310 in the Hebrew concordance means achar, A-C-H-A-R is how it's spelled. And it means the following part, like what's to come afterwards, like what's to follow, okay? So I'm giving you guys that for purpose, and you'll understand the purpose when I give you guys the dream. But if you guys see me looking this way, again, I'm multitasking because I'm also getting prepared for work, okay? But let me get into this dream, guys. So this dream had several different parts to it. The first part of this dream, I was at my family's house. I was outside hiding behind a car. I see my oldest brother fixing putting a rifle together, and I knew that he was getting ready to go shoot up my family's house and shoot up everybody in the house, okay? But I'm watching him put this rifle together outside, but I knew that he was getting ready to walk in the house and shoot everybody in the house, okay? The scene switched to me being in this white man's office. I was sitting on the opposite side, like not behind the desk, but I was sitting on the opposite side that a person would sit at when they go in someone's office to speak to them. And the white man comes walking into the room, and he tells me, hey, I just spoke to your ex-husband, T. And he didn't say your ex-husband, but I'm not giving you guys my ex-husband's name, so I'm just going to say ex-husband T. He's like, I just spoke to T, and he said he's okay. He's like, I FaceTimed him, and he said he's okay. So I'm like, okay. Scene switches to me being in a grocery store. I'm pushing a shopping cart, and there's no groceries in my cart, but I'm pushing my purse in the shopping cart because my purse is way too heavy to carry on my shoulders. So I got a shopping cart for it, and I'm pushing my purse in the shopping cart, okay? It was too heavy for me to carry. And I get a phone call from my ex-husband. So T gets on the phone, and he tells me his fiance left him. He just lost all of his money. He got fired from his job or lost his job. He told me he got arrested for smoking weed, and he's telling me everything that was going on, like that he lost everything pretty much. So I'm listening to him tell me whatever's going on with his life, and I get outside, and I hear the Lord ask me loud and clear in this dream, if T lost everything, would you still want him? And I paused for a second, and I said yes. So after I said yes, I'm looking for my car in this parking lot, and I'm like, did I park on the opposite side? I'm looking for my car. I see my car on the left side, and it's inside of this gate. So I'm like, how do I get in the gate? I'm like, I need to get to my car. So I'm looking everywhere for an entrance, but when I look right straight ahead in front of me, there's an opening. All I had to do is walk through it. So I grab my cart, and I go to push my cart to the entrance to go through the gate to get to my car, and I wake up, okay? So I'm going to break it down to you guys, how the Lord broke it down to me in the parts that he's downloaded to me, because this is not just for me. This is a message for many women and men that God has told to stand for marriage restoration after separation, divorce, or whatever the case may be, and you've been faithfully standing. But he's also told you that the other person, whether it's a wife or a husband, will face judgment, right? That he's spoken this to you guys. And this is for you. If this fits you, if you know, God will let you know in your spirit if this is for you. If you're not sure, take it back to him. But those of you that this is for, it will resonate. And even if you know it's for you, still take it back to God. Take me back to God. But the first part of this dream, me seeing my brother prepare a gun, put a rifle together to go shoot up my family inside of this house, just signified Satan, the accuser of the brethren. Okay, that's what he's referred to in Scripture, the accuser of the brethren. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Okay, he comes to accuse. That's what he does. Okay, so go figure. My brother getting ready to go shoot up the house, accuser of the brethren. Hope y'all are following me. God is very strategic in my dreams. So that's what my brother represented, like Satan getting ready to kill, steal, and destroy. Okay, a whole house, a whole temple, a whole family. Okay, a whole dynamic. I wasn't in the house, so I was safe. I was just outside watching my brother put this rifle together, but he didn't see me, so I was like a watchman, like Ezekiel. And I'm actually going to be reading from the book of Ezekiel. And for those of you that don't know, when I first started my my walk with God in as far as like dreaming and YouTube ministry, he referred to me as a watchman, the same way as he referred to Ezekiel. I'm not going to get into that, but just wanted to give you guys a background on that. But that's what my brother represented, okay? The scene switches to me being in this white man's office. The Lord will often use white people in my dreams when he, especially men, when he wants to symbolize himself. Okay, and that's because white symbolizes righteousness, purity, everything that God is. Okay, so the white man who walks in the office, whose office that I'm sitting in at the desk, represented Jesus. Jesus came in and he's like, hey, I just spoke to T on FaceTime, and he told me he didn't talk to him very long, but T said he's okay. T, my ex-husband, that's what we're gonna call him. So I said, okay. This part just symbolized Jesus having a face-to-face interaction with my ex-husband, okay? This is what this part symbolized. It was very clear. FaceTime, you're FaceTiming someone, you're at a distance because you're on a phone, but it's a face-to-face communication. That was just the Lord's way of saying, I had a face-to-face interaction with T, okay? With my ex-husband. So I tell him, okay, cool. But he was letting me know he's okay. That's what that symbolized. So the next part of me walking through the grocery store, pushing a cart, not having anything in my cart, but me pushing my purse because my purse was too heavy, just symbolized me being in a place of abundance, okay? My purse was way too heavy to carry on my shoulders. I'm in a grocery store, which represented a storehouse, okay? In Scripture, a storehouse represents a place where goods are stored, okay? It's a place of harvest. So that part just represented the abundance that I'm getting ready to walk into, in which the Lord has already spoken to me about that. So I understood that part. Again, common sense, my purse was too heavy. I'm pushing it in a cart. Okay, heavy purse, abundance, favor, financial blessings, prosperity. And that's what I was walking into, okay? As I'm on the phone with my ex-husband, he's telling me he lost everything, right? Okay, the Lord was showing me in this part that I was walking into abundance, but he was getting ready to face a humbling process. And for many of you guys, this will resonate because God has already communicated this to you about your own spouse that you have been standing for, that he has to take them through a humbling process. Okay, so this symbolized the process that my ex-husband was getting ready to go through versus what I was getting ready to go through. Okay, I'm walking in abundance, but he's not. He's getting ready to lose everything. Okay, hence him on the phone saying he lost his money, he lost his job. Okay, these are things that the Lord is getting ready to strip away from him. Him saying he got arrested for smoking weed. That just symbolized him trying to get high off of worldly things, trying to fulfill his voids and his needs with worldly possessions, with houses, with cars, with money, with everything that wasn't God. Okay, in real life, my ex-husband does not smoke weed. He's a director of a college. He makes really good money. So again, him telling me I got arrested for smoking weed just again symbolized his humbling process. He put worldly possessions and things before he put God, the things that he thought would elevate him, and they do elevate temporarily. God is the only person that can bring you to an elevated level, and it's eternal, okay? So he relied on the world rather than relying on God, and him going to, or getting arrested for smoking weed just symbolized his humbling process that God is getting ready to take him through for his need to fulfill his voids and get high off of worldly possessions, okay? As I walk outside, I hear God say, if he lost everything, would you still want him? That part is self-explanatory. Many of you are about to watch your God-ordained husband or wife go through a humbling process, okay? It's not going to look good. And if you guys have been following me for a while, or even some new subscribers, I posted a video and I told you guys last week that the Lord gave me a choice. He said, I will restore your marriage as I promised, or I will write you a new love story with somebody else that I have set aside for you. That was an uncomfortable word for me that I released. I made a choice. I'm not telling you guys what I chose, but I'm just giving you guys some background for the ones that are just newly subscribed to my channel. Okay. And there are other people. I'm not the only one that God will be giving that choice to or has given that choice to. Okay. I'm not the only one. That word was not for everybody, but I'm not going to get into that. But again, me walking outside and hearing God ask me that was just what it was. If he lost everything, would you want him? Basically, he was saying he is about to lose everything. I'm bringing him to a humbling process, but you're walking into abundance. If two becomes one and I'm walking into abundance, but somebody else is going into a humbling state, they're losing everything. There's no way that the Lord can bring those two people back together and do a restoration at that time, because even the one that lost everything and who's being brought to a humbling state wouldn't fully understand what God is trying to do in their life if their significant other is being elevated and has riches and abundance, and they know that they would be okay. And I hope that makes sense to you guys. Like that would be kind of like being unequally yoked in a sense, because again, your spouse can't learn to be humble and thankful and be revamped if they have someone there that has an overflow of money and finances and can provide even if they lost everything, okay? And I spoke to you guys about this before, letting you know that with a restoration, like for many of you, God is going to bring you back together, and you're going to have to watch your spouse go through a humbling process. But just know, for those of you that are going to have to watch the spouse go through a humbling process while going through that restoration, okay, there's going to be certain blessings of yours that are going to be placed on hold, because God can't bless you and humble them and bring you guys back together, because they're just going to feed off of your riches and they're not going to understand all that God is doing. Okay, I hope that makes sense, but y'all are smart. Just follow me, because I don't know why I feel like I have to go into detail about everything when I'm trying to explain a dream, but I just want to make you guys understand. So the part where God asked me if he lost everything, would you still want him, was self-explanatory. I'm walking into abundance. He's walking into a humbling process. He's losing everything. I'm gaining things that I've never had before. So in that sense, he asked me, would you still want him? Because look at the scenarios, right? Look at what's happening. All right. So that was self-explanatory. When I said yes, I looked for my car. It was inside of a gate. And I'm looking for an opening, and there was one right in front of me. A gate in a dream can often symbolize a entryway or like access to a place. Okay. It could also symbolize an open heart. Okay. Like access to someone's heart. And in this case, it just symbolized access by me answering God and telling him, you know, yes, I would still want him, even if he lost everything. I was getting ready to walk through or have access to a whole different path, a whole different ministry, so to speak. It was access to whatever that was going to look like, as far as me deciding to restore, even with my ex-husband losing everything, okay? And that was the end of the dream. So for many of you guys, just to give you the overall view, you know that your spouse, your husband or your wife, they're getting ready to go through a humbling process. You're getting ready, many of you are getting ready to go into abundance. But keep in mind, God can't bring you guys back together if you're in an abundant state and they're in a humbling state, because they'll just feed off of you. And in order for God to restore and remold this person and rebuild them into the man or woman of God that they should have been initially, they have to go through that humbling process, okay? So those of you that are being restored to your spouse and you're in an abundant season and they're in a humbling season, God will at times hold your blessings back until that person is done going through their humbling stage, because again, they're not going to feel humbled if they have a spouse to become one. So they know that you're going to help them. They can't go through a humbling state and lose everything and properly understand what God is trying to do if they have a rich spouse, a multi-million-dollar spouse who's elevated, because again, you would be the help for that person. They know that you wouldn't just let them fall by the wayside because you are their God-ordained spouse. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I'm pretty sure it does. But many of you that are standing for marriage, you are going to have to go through that humbling process with your spouse. Doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be in a wilderness season. Many of you have completed your wilderness. God has molded you. He's rebuilt you internally, externally, like you are a new person. So it's not to say that that is your wilderness season, because we are, two become one, but we are judged individually, okay? When we die and get to the gates, we're not going to answer for our husbands or wife's sins, and they're not going to answer for us. We're judged individually. But again, if you're in a harvest season and your spouse, your husband or your wife are in a humbling season where they're going to lose everything, God is not going to give you everything that he promised you as far as elevation, finances, and all of that stuff and restore you, because again, the person would not be able to be properly humbled and learn the lesson that God is trying to teach them if you are in an abundant season, because you would be there to help them and provide for them. Okay? So many of you need to really think about that, okay? God was straight up with me in the dream. He said, if he lost everything, would you still want him? And in a sense, he was saying, if he lost everything, would you still want him? Because where I'm trying to take you into abundance at this time, that's going to be on hold until he is done going through his process of humbling, okay? That is plain and clear as day is what he was trying to say. Like there's a humbling process to be done, okay? Like I'm letting judgment flow on him, and this is what he's going to experience, okay? Again, the beginning of the dream, my brother was going to shoot up everything, okay? Satan was about to kill, steal, and destroy. And for many that are going through a humble season, a judgment season at this time to be remolded, they are going to feel the effects of these bullets, okay? And I'm not saying physical death for your spouse, but I hope it makes sense, guys. Okay? So keep that in mind. Those of you that are standing for restoration, that God has promised restoration to you, it's a process. And I released a word about this a couple days ago, and I used Lazarus. I said, yeah, he raised Lazarus from the dead, but other people had to unbind him and loose him, okay? Unbinding means to unwrap, to unravel, to let loose, okay? To unyoke. So even though God is restoring many marriages, there's still a process to be done, and you're going to have to help unbind your husband or wife in this process, okay? Lazarus couldn't unbound and loose himself. He was up and alive, but he was still wrapped up like a mummy, okay? It took other people to do the unbinding. In your case, for your spouse, you are that other person. For women, you are that helpmeet that's going to help them in this process. For men, you are that leader that's going to help this person in the process, okay? And God gave me this dream in March, so this was way before he gave me the option to have my marriage restored as he promised, or to have him write another love story. And either one I chose, he advised me that he would honor it, okay? So this dream was way before God gave me the choice, or I realized that he had given me the choice to make a choice of what I wanted to do. Way before this. So this was a month before. And it's even more clearer now as to what God was trying to show me prior to giving me the choice. And I gave the Lord the choice that I chose on 4/14, go figure, for such a time as this, Esther 4:14. That's when I chose. And I will not release the choice to you guys right now, but I did choose. It was hard, it was difficult, but I made my choice, and I'm content, I'm confident with that choice. I'm ready for my marriage and what that looks like. I'm excited for it. Okay, and I'm going to give you guys the scriptures that the Lord gave me, but you guys can read this on your own. I'm not going to read all of these scriptures, but he took me to Ezekiel chapter 24, verses 15 through 27. And these verses speak of the death of Ezekiel's wife, right? The Lord told Ezekiel, like, I'm about to take your wife out with a fatal blow. Your wife is about to die, okay? And he was about to kill his wife in order to show Jerusalem a sign of what he was getting ready to do to them in their city, okay, for their disobedience. So he tells Ezekiel, I'm about to kill your wife, but you are not to mourn or lament over her death. You are to, let me just read it to you guys so you guys can check this out. Then the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, I'm about to take the delight of your eyes away from you with a fatal blow, but you must not lament or weep or let your tears flow. Groan quietly. Do not observe mourning rites for the dead. Put on your turban and strap on your sandals on your feet. Do not cover your mustache or eat the bread of mourners. So he's telling Ezekiel, the Lord is telling Ezekiel, I'm about to kill your wife. You're not allowed to mourn because her death is going to serve as a sign to the people of Jerusalem that I'm about to bring death and destruction upon them. And they're not going to be able to lament or have sorrow for their loss of their loved ones and their land because they're going to be so busy in distress over what I'm about to take them through. Okay. And you guys can read the scriptures that I just gave you. Again, that's Ezekiel 24 verses 15 through 27. And that's pretty much what the Lord told Ezekiel. Like, they are about to be in so much distress and torment. They're not even going to have time to grieve, mourn, or lament for the death, for the judgment that they are about to face. So imagine a person, Ezekiel, as a watchman for the Lord, a prophet for God, and God tells Ezekiel, like, I'm about to kill your wife, but it's going to be a sign to the people of Jerusalem of what's coming to them. And they're going to know that I am Lord. And Ezekiel lost his wife died, and he could not grieve or cry. He had to put on his bold face, put on his game face and call it a day. Okay? And y'all can read the story, and it's really intense. But that's where the Lord had me those are the scriptures the Lord had me reference when giving this word to you guys. That your spouses, they're about to go through, your God-ordained spouses that you're standing for, many of them are going through a judgment phase, okay? You do not mourn for them. Weep in silence if you need to by yourself, not in front of anybody, because this is something that they have to go through in order to understand that Lord is Lord, and that the only thing that will make them happy in life is to follow God. It's not you as their spouse, okay? Let's make this clear. It's not you as their spouse, because you cannot make your spouse happy, okay? Their happiness, their joy, their comfort, their love, their everything comes from the Lord, okay? You are just an addition, but everything that they were searching for in the world, they're supposed to get that from the Lord, just like you're supposed to get that from the Lord. So what God is about to allow these spouses to go through, you need to weep in silence and don't put your game face on, because they need to go through this. If you want him to restore, if you want him to resurrect, there has to be a death of something in order for him to resurrect, okay? And follow me. I'm not talking about your spouse going to die and God going to breathe life back into them. I'm saying it's going to take them dying to self in order to be resurrected and restored in the manner that God has called them to be, in order for them to be the man of God that God has molded them to be, that God initially had ordained for their lives, okay? The man of God, the woman of God that God designed them to be. They have to die to self, and they have to give all to God. And for them to get to this point, just like you and I had to go through a process, it was a humbling season. For many of us, seasons with an S, a wilderness season for many of us with an S. Like, it wasn't one season, it was several seasons. And he molded us. And for many of you, you're not in a wilderness anymore. I'm not in a wilderness anymore. I'm past that. I'm walking into abundance. I'm in my abundant season. I'm living it out. And God has shown me that in so many different ways. You guys are seeing your abundance play out in front of you. And it just keeps going. But your spouses aren't at that place yet. And again, we want to scream resurrection, resurrection. We're ready for him to resurrect. In order for something to be resurrected, y'all, something got to die. And many of you want the resurrection and not the death, okay? The death has to take place. There has to be a dying to self, a dying to worldly things, and knowing that God is God and that there is no one that can replace him. There is no one that can make you happy or your spouse happy or fill voids but God. So God is getting ready to humble them to restore their heart back to him. And then after their hearts are restored to him, everything else after that falls in place. But you don't want their hearts restored to you if it's not restored to God. And this is for a man or a woman, a man who's standing for his wife or a woman who's standing for her husband. But many prodigals, many spouses, they're about to be brought to nothing. And y'all are in two different seasons, okay? So, yeah, that's all I have, guys. And I would recommend you guys read Ezekiel chapter 24, verses 15 through 27, because it's super intense. It is super intense. And I could only imagine what Ezekiel was feeling after losing his wife and being told, you can't cry or mourn. Do it quietly somewhere else, but you can't do none of that. Put your game face on. Because the people of Jerusalem, they need to see that I mean business and that I'm God of God, Lord of Lords. They will worship nobody but me. Like, I'm the man. Like, God needed them to see, like, I am the I am, okay? So, yeah, that's all I have for you guys on that note. And, I know that's kind of a heavy word for the morning, guys, but y'all will be okay. Don't mourn. It must be done. But coaching is open for those of you that are still interested in coaching. I've been having a ball with the clients that I have been coaching. Like, it's been amazing. And I've never coached so many people before ever in my life. So I know God is definitely doing a thing with this coaching. And I do have spots available. Testimonies, email them to me. Prayer requests, email them to me. My devotional, you can purchase at Barnes & Noble or Amazon or iTunes. That information is all in my About section of my YouTube profile. But that is all I have for you guys. I love y'all. Anything besides testimonies and prayer requests and coaching questions, I'm not really answering back emails right now, guys. Have too much going on. But yeah, I love y'all. That's all I have. Have a blessed Thursday. And talk soon. Bye.